techdaily.ai, your source for technical information. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're exploring a really significant topic for anyone working with IT infrastructure, the strategic thinking around Microsoft Hyper-V, especially when you're looking at virtualization options, maybe comparing it against platforms like VMware. The benefits of Hyper-V often come up. So our goal here is really to unpack those key advantages Hyper-V offers and, understand why they might matter specifically to you.
That's right. It's more than just a feature list, isn't it? It's about understanding the why behind a potential shift towards Hyper-V. We need to look at, well, how it fits in, the whole cost picture, and what it can actually do, see why organizations might consider it.
Okay, let's unpack maybe the biggest driver first, the one everyone thinks about, cost savings. When you look at Hyper-V, what's the story there financially?
Well, the most compelling thing right off the bat is that Hyper-V isn't really a separate thing you buy if you're already using Windows Server. Standard or Data Center Edition, it's just included.
Included, so no separate hypervisor license like you'd see with, say, VMware ESXi.
Exactly. You skip that potentially significant cost. And it's not just the hypervisor, but also the management piece like vCenter. That's often another license cost you avoid.
Right. So it hits both initial costs, the CapEx, and the ongoing operational costs, OpEx, for licensing.
Precisely. It can make a pretty big difference to the budget.
Okay, that's clear. Now, for organizations that are already, heavily invested in Microsoft technologies, there seems to be this big advantage. Integration, how seamless is that in reality?
Yeah, if you're running a Microsoft shop, this is arguably where Hyper-V really comes into its own. It's designed to work directly with everything else. Think Active Directory for user accounts, permissions. That just works. PowerShell for scripting, which, let's be honest, your team probably already uses extensively.
Yeah, leveraging existing skills.
Exactly. And then management tools like System Center, Virtual Machine Manager, SCVMM for bigger setups, or the newer Windows Admin Center for a web-based view. It all feels connected.
So it lowers the learning curve, makes management easier day to day.
Definitely. You're using familiar tools, familiar concepts, less overhead, faster integration.
Okay, cost and integration are strong points. But, the core job is virtualization. Does Hyper-V actually have the muscle, the enterprise features needed?
Oh, absolutely. It's matured a lot over the years. You get the standard enterprise-grade features you'd expect. Things like live migration, running VMs between hosts without any downtime. That's crucial.
So, yeah.
And failover clustering for high availability. So if a host server fails, the VMs restart elsewhere automatically. Dynamic memory to share RAM more efficiently between VMs, even nested virtualization for testing or running containers inside VMs.
So it covers the bases. And you mentioned licensing earlier. Are these features typically included too?
That's often the key difference. Many of these core capabilities are part of the base Hyper-V offering within Windows Server, not necessarily separate per feature licenses you have to add on, which can be the case elsewhere.
Got it. That loops back to the cost point nicely. What about storage? Always critical for performance.
Hyper-V plays well with modern storage approaches. Storage Spaces Direct, or S2D, is a big one.
S2D, how does that work?
It basically lets you use the local hard drives, or SSDs, inside your Hyper-V host servers to create a shared, resilient storage pool, software-defined storage, essentially. This can potentially eliminate the need for expensive external SANs for many workloads. It's quite cost-effective.
Interesting. And it uses efficient protocols.
Yes, it leverages things like SMB3 for network file access and the ReFS file system, which can speed up VM operations like creating checkpoints or copying VHDX files. And of course, it still works perfectly fine with traditional SAN storage too. We know it has good compatibility, for instance, with solutions like Stone Fusion SANs.
Okay, makes sense. We touched on management tools, but maybe just recap the main ways you'd actually manage a Hyper-V setup.
Sure. For many tasks in smaller environments, Windows Admin Center is great. It's a modern web-based GUI, really intuitive. For larger scale, more complex scenarios, System Center Virtual Machine Manager, SCVMM, is still the powerful, comprehensive option.
And automation.
PowerShell, that's the key. The deep integration allows for really robust scripting, automating almost anything, and fits right into infrastructure as code practices. Again, leveraging that ecosystem.
Right. Let's talk security, always top of mind. What specific features does Hyper-V offer there?
Microsoft has put a lot of focus here. One standout feature is shielded VMs.
Shielded VMs, what do they shield from?
They're designed to protect virtual machines from, well, snooping or tampering, even by administrators on the host server itself. It uses virtualization-based security.
So protection even if the host is compromised.
Exactly. It adds a significant layer of defense for sensitive VMs. You also get integration with Secure Boot, BitLocker encryption for the VM disks, and something called the Host Guardian service. That service basically verifies the health and trustworthiness of a Hyper-V host before it allows a shielded VM to power on there.
That sounds pretty robust.
Yeah.
Okay, last major area. Looking ahead, the hybrid cloud. How does Hyper-V connect with Azure?
The integration is very tight. Azure Site Recovery, or ASR, is a prime example. It makes setting up disaster recovery from your on-prem Hyper-V environment to Azure quite straightforward.
So simpler DR to the cloud.
Yes. And then there's Azure Arc. This basically extends the Azure control plane, the management tools, down to your own data center. So you can manage your Hyper-V servers and VMs right alongside your Azure cloud resources, all from one place. It really smooths the path to hybrid operations and potential migrations.
Okay, bringing it all together then, what does this mean for you, the listener, if you're comparing virtualization platforms? When you factor in Hyper-V's deep integration, the included features, the cost structure within that whole Microsoft ecosystem, maybe the evaluation becomes less about just ticking off isolated feature boxes.
Right. It might shift the question.
Perhaps it becomes more about choosing the right ecosystem that best fits where your organization is today and where you want to go strategically. Something to think about.
Indeed. Looking at the bigger picture, the ecosystem view can definitely highlight different strengths and weaknesses.
This podcast is sponsored by Stonefly, your trusted solution provider and advisor in enterprise storage, backup, disaster recovery, hyper-converged in VMware, Hyper-V, Proxmox cluster, AI servers, SA365, a turnkey security appliance, and public and private cloud. Check out stonefly.com or email your project requirements to sales@stonefly.com.